Welcome to the Sharvette Mitchell radio show. Today, we're going to be talking about why solopreneurs need to have SOPs. If you don't know what an SOP is, you need to stick around. You're going to find out more right here on the Sharvette Mitchell radio show after this introduction. And our guest is hanging out with us in the virtual studio, Adriana, here on the Sharvette Mitchell radio show, Adriana Richardson.
Whoa. Why y'all so happy?
You don't know? Sharvette Mitchell is on the radio.
It's time to get motivated, excited, and influenced. Why? It's the Sharvette Mitchell Radio Show, live from Richmond, Virginia. And now, here to motivate, excite, and influence you, Sharvette Mitchell.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Sharvette Mitchell radio show, broadcasting live from the capital city of Richmond, Virginia, but heard and seen all across the world's wide web. Listen, as you are joining us here live, type in the comments, type in the chat. Let us know that you are here. Let us know where you are watching or listening from. Certainly from anywhere on Facebook, anywhere on YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, Sharvette.com. And we cannot leave out those that are checking out the podcast version on Apple Podcasts and Stitcher and all the places and Blog Talk Radio. You are just as important here on the Sharvette Mitchell Radio Show. So today's segment is super duper cool. And I'm making it cool because we're going to be talking about SOPs. Somebody might say, what is that? Standard operating procedures. I know. At first listen, at first glance, you might be like, Sharvette, that's not a cool and sexy topic. Sharvette, I was here for something like fly, something like hot. Listen, give us a few minutes. I'm telling you, you want to hear from our guests today. I'm shouting out those that are already coming on in, making comments. Let me share your comments here that are coming on through. We are excited to have you. New York is in the house. Hello, New York. Thank you for being here. We are excited to have you as well, and all that are going to be joining us. Those on YouTube, we see you as well. Thank you. Boston is joining us. We are glad to have you tuning in all the way from Boston. So thank you so much for being here today. So this segment is brought to you by something that I'm so excited about for 2022. Yeah, 2022. I am hosting for the first time a pop-up luxury retreat in Orlando, Florida. We're going to be in Orlando, Florida, this coming November. So what I want you to do is jump over to joinsharvette.com, and you'll download instantly, grab a information sheet, and check out all of the amazing things that we're going to be having going on. I want you to join me in this 10,000 square foot mansion that we've rented out. It's going to be amazing. So grab the information sheet. If you are a woman entrepreneur and leader and you're like, you know what, I need to invest in myself, invest in my business, and I want to join Sharvette in Florida. So grab the information sheet, and also you can schedule a meet and greet call to see if this is one of your business and or self-development investments for 2022. You're going to hear a little bit more about it throughout the rest of the show. So let me introduce my guest as you are coming on in. Again, thank you for all those that are here. We are excited to have you and see you chiming in and coming on in. We are excited. And so my guest today, as we talk about this great topic, why solopreneurs need to prioritize SOPs for their business. That's what we're going to be talking about. Adriana Richardson is with us. She is the owner of the Lazy Millennial, an online management and consulting company for online-based service providers. She's known for her witty methods. Adriana has challenged the busy lifestyle to create what she calls the journey to laziness. I know some of you are like, what? I got to hear more about that. By ensuring that service providers who are ready to scale their businesses are prepared to do that by teaching them how to set their internal systems and processes so they can become more powerful, productive, and profitable. Listen, without further ado, I am bringing Adriana up to the mic live here on the Sharvette Mitchell Radio Show. We are glad to have you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hey, girl. Hey, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
We are super excited to have you. And so, wow. Okay, so tell us how you even got started, like going down this particular path.
I gotcha. So, boom, picture it 2018. I started out as a journeyman virtual assistant. So, of course, that was pretty easy to get clientele because, of course, every business owner needs help, right? And from doing that, I realized I wasn't necessarily in the right spot to really help them. Like, yes, I was doing tasks for them, but
Mhm.
there was always something more. And it's like, there was just something in the air, like we couldn't pinpoint it because it's like we're like, okay, like she's helping with tasks, but like I still feel disorganized, like I'm still hearing this stuff, and it's like, okay, maybe we need to try this more so. But at that time I wasn't really sure about SOPs because of course I like we heard it in corporate stuff, like we know the employee handbook, we know
Yeah.
that stuff. But, like it was just like I don't need this in my business because I'm an online service service provider. Like I don't need this kind of stuff inside my business right now. And lo and behold, we actually did. So it took COVID actually hitting for me to like really realize I'm one stuck inside my business because I had team members to help me out in my business, but I was still the one stuck in the middle. Like people were still coming to me, they still needed help, they still didn't know how to do stuff. And funny thing is, I did have SOPs in place, but they were done
Uh-huh.
incorrectly. So long story short, I decided to get my act together, and from that, I started helping other clients, and then kind of just rolled into that, and I kind of fell into this.
You kind of fell into it. And so what was the transition like? Because you are a full-time entrepreneur. This is your full-time thing. When did you know, okay, it's not just kind of like helping on the side anymore. It's time for me to actually leap out, step out. What was that like?
Oh man. Okay. Honestly, it was tough because I was like, I didn't want the cash flow to stop, but
Uh-huh.
it was just like, Audrey, do you want cash flow or do you really want to like make your business like work for you and like reclaim time and all that good stuff? Like I'm telling people they can reclaim their time, but I wasn't doing that. So I was like, how exactly do you want to build your business? So like it took me, I shut down my business for a little bit. Like I still had like my main clientele, but like I waited until like the slower season. So I closed it down, didn't really take anybody. Like I had just enough to kind of like carry me forward. But like it was honestly rough because like when that cash flow stops, it's just like, oh man.
Yeah.
Like what am I
You're
gonna
like,
do next?
yeah,
Yes, like
yeah.
that sweat form is like, what about to do next? But I was like, I need to do this because I want to use my business as an example of how things should operate for us, especially as solopreneurs. Hey y'all, but especially as solopreneurs. So yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. How things should be. And so let's define, for those that are coming on in, welcome. You're checking out the Sharvette Mitchell Radio Show. And we are here talking about why solopreneurs need to prioritize SOPs for their business. So let's first start off like defining what is an SOP.
Sure. So, of course, standard operating procedures, SOPs, they are, when you hear that, just think of how you do your business. These are the documented ways we do our business. And normally there are different ways we can do it because we know, like, we all know the team portion. Like, we know the policy books, we know about the employee handbook. So, what I do to describe it is that we have the team portion, then we have our personal side. This is the ones that we like monitor, like our, office hours, like the
Yeah.
basic policies of our business, like things we have in use, like all that good stuff. But pretty much is the documented way you run your business because I'll go off in a tangent. We'll stop there.
All right. And so, because sometimes this is not something that entrepreneurs or solopreneurs, let me make a distinction, think about. But if we go back to wherever you worked before, there were procedures that
Mhm.
initially at least showed you how to work. Now, there's some people who are here, I'm sure, listening saying, no, where I was, it was on the job training. They didn't have anything written down. That's possible. That's possible. But in
Yep.
most places, there were some type of procedures. And so I'm not sure that solopreneurs, those that are really running things by themselves, think about, oh, I need to actually document what I'm doing because really I'm doing everything and I know what I'm doing. So why do I need to document it? if I'm the one kind of doing it and I know what to do? What is your response to that?
Oh, definitely. I'm just like, okay, so whenever I get that question, I'm like, so are you building your business to stay inside of it? Or like, are you trying to really build? Because like a lot of times they're saying they want to build towards generational wealth or they want to sell their business, they want to do that stuff. I'm just like, well, if you're staying the way you are and not wanting to hire people or bring people inside your company because you're afraid or whatever, you are going to be working yourself to the bone, and you're going to be stuck in that same area, because when it comes time to like want to take a vacation, get sick, any of these things happen, no one can do anything for you because you left everything inside of your head instead of writing it down.
Mm. Ah, everything is in your head. So you got to pull things up out of your head. Thank you. Somebody say, yeah, that's a great question. You're welcome. You're welcome. Let me capture this comment here from one of our viewers on Facebook. Office hours have been office hours. I have them on paper. Now following them, that's another story. Let me capture, let me talk about that. Okay. That's from Pat in New York. That's from Pat in New York. I see you here. So let's talk about this because, it's my mind is
Ooh,
like
yeah.
jumping out, because this is procedures, but then there's also some boundaries into this. So talk a little bit about this comment here.
Okay, so first of all, I was in the same boat as you. Like I was telling everybody, like I had these things in place. Like I was like, okay, like I already got my office hours. Like I know the times I want to work, but like actually doing it. So that's where the boundaries came in. So this is why I have like the this is why I have the personal SOP portion, like for me to actually like stick to my boundaries and like telling it and making sure it's documented in different spots. So in order to combat that, it's really one of those things. It's like we have to train ourselves to do, because like even if we have SOPs in for documenting things, it's like we have to train ourselves to actually follow them. It took me a while, even when I set these new boundaries and these new hours and everything, for me to actually follow it. But I will say some tips that have helped me when it comes to that is,
Yeah.
one, I think about the long-term goals. I'm like, okay, like I know if I'm gonna let this one person slide through, or if I go ahead and hurry up and answer that phone for that one person, I'm gonna fall back into my old ways. So I'm just like, okay, one, like what is gonna happen to, well, second thing, if I want to go on vacation, what exactly is going to happen here? Like I'm gonna need one of my team members to take over, but like if I'm already, people are used to me doing stuff, then I'm setting myself up for failure pretty much. So like it's just one of those things we kind of have to train ourselves. Like it's really hard, especially like I'll say for myself, like I'm a people pleaser by nature. So
Uh-huh.
like having to stop myself, like I'll see the message and I'm just like, no, no. So like, or if you have I'm sorry, y'all, but if I have an iPhone or something, like you can hide like the notifications. So like that's something like I'll do. I'll put on like focus mode, or like I have it on do not disturb, so you don't get the notifications. But anything you can do, especially if you're like me, that like tends to answer the phone, or you know you have stuff you're not following. I have post-it notes like with my stuff all around here. Like do what you need to do to get it done. But it's
Do
trial and
what you
error. Like
need
it's
to
rough.
do. I love
Yeah.
that. And here's the other thing that I would offer. You cannot, if we're thinking in the mindset of being able to transition, get support, have contractors, employees, or what have you, you cannot, and this is not just for Pat, but for anyone, you cannot transition or delegate disorder. You cannot transition or delegate chaos. So
Mm.
if you have office hours, then whoever's going to work with you, work for you, they can't decide when they want to work. So that's the kind of thought process. That's great there. Let me capture some great conversation here that's showing up here in the comments. So Wendy Lee, comedian Wendy Lee, coming in from Wakandia. Usually she flies in from Wakandia to view us. The job I used to work, the SOP had to be so detailed that a person could walk in off the street and run the business. So is this the level of detail that you're recommending that solopreneurs put in place? Great comment.
Honestly, yes, but I will say definitely start slow, because a lot of times too we get so wrapped up like, okay, it has to be really detailed, or we have to make sure like it sits that, and then like we kind of let things kind of flow by or like go by, and it's just like you
Yeah.
only have that one thing done. But as long as you're like documenting like the process of it and updating it, like it's gonna get to that point. But like starting out, it's not gonna be always pretty or exact.
Good, good, good. Shout out to Training on Wheels, hanging out with us over on YouTube. That's a word. You cannot delegate disorder. Yes, yes, yes. And it is a mindset. I see a question coming in here, and we appreciate and love your questions. Keep them coming wherever you are watching us live. So how do you test your SOPs? So I'm going to stick this right here. I'd love for you to first give a few examples of, because some people might be saying, okay, I'm getting in the thought of I need to document some stuff. What are a couple of let's say the first three things that you would recommend a solopreneur make sure they're documented? Then we will talk about how can you test it.
Okay, so like for full outside of like your regular policies and everything, I would start off with things like you're either about to delegate or things you're doing all the time. Because normally people find a virtual assistant. That's like the first thing people go for. Like, let me get someone for gentlemen. So I would say things that you are wanting to delegate out or like you're planning to like within like the next few months. Start documenting that stuff down. Like, and when you do document them, make sure you are doing things from their standpoint. So like you don't want to do it in third person. Like you're the employee right now doing this thing. So like what are the things they need to know? Like, do they need to go inside of, like I use LastPass for passwords. Like, do they need to go to LastPass to pull passwords? Are you going to provide the password for them? But like it feels kind of silly doing this. Like I'm talking myself doing this stuff, but like you have to think of it in third person when you're doing them. So I will say not all of them necessarily need videos, but like ideally for like things if you're showing somebody what to do inside your business, having videos so they can see like the how part, because oftentimes we do, I need you to do this, we have the what, but like we don't show them how to do it. So it's just kind of like they're sitting there like, okay, you told me to schedule your social media posts, but where am I getting the posts from? Like, where am I getting the graphics from? Little things like that we kind of like miss and don't think about. That all of that needs to be inside your standard operating procedure, your SOP. Make it like a full.
Yeah. And social media is one of the things oftentimes that entrepreneurs, solopreneurs in particular, will delegate out first. And so that is a good point that you made there of having a video, to show them and then making sure that they have all of the things that they need. And so the testing, what would you recommend? And you talked a little bit about this to say, let's just say it is a social media, you're transitioning or you're getting someone to support your business page and posting on social media. How would you test that you've created it, the video or the procedure correctly?
I would say if you are by yourself, just honest, it's kind of rough doing it by yourself because that's where I was at. Like I had SOPs, but like they weren't described enough. But I would say kind of like going through like ideally step by step if you're by yourself, look through all the steps and like making sure like you covered all the aspects for them to actually find their job. So like I mentioned, doing stuff in third person and making sure they can do the task that you assign them or the person, the imaginary person that you assign them, like they have everything inside that SOP. But ideally, if you have like a business buddy or something, kind of like, hey, can you like just check this out just to make sure things flow right? Or like if you work with a coach, something like that, I would honestly recommend having a second pair of eyes just to look at them because I'll tell you, my team members now, like I miss something, they're like, first of all, like this sounds like you're just talking to me or having a conversation. It doesn't even tell me nothing. So having that second pair of eyes is really helpful. But when you're by yourself, as long as you're doing like the third person and kind of putting yourself in that mind frame, like, okay, I'm not me, like I'm this person getting ready to work for me or with me, whatever it is, and kind of making sure they have everything set for them.
All right, great, great, great. So while people are listening, how can they connect with you on social media and learn more about what you do?
Oh, I guess. So y'all can find me. Y'all can find me under the Lazy Millennial pretty much everywhere. And then also on Facebook, I have a business group called Business the Lazy Way. Feel free to join that. But pretty much everywhere, the Lazy Millennial, and then the website, of course, thelazymillennial.net.
Okay, wonderful. So we're going to take a very quick commercial break. Then when we come back, first of all, we want to hear like what is the lazy? Because I thought it was hustle, 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 sleep when I'm dead, all of that culture.
Yeah.
And you were saying embrace laziness. So we want to talk a little bit more about that and then give a few more tips around people creating their SOPs. So I'm going to let you relax in the virtual green room and we'll be bringing you back. All right. And welcome again to everyone that's checking us out here on the Sharvette Mitchell Radio Show. This segment is brought to you by my pop-up luxury retreat in Orlando, Florida. Here's a little bit more about it. For the last 6 years, I've hosted events in Richmond, Virginia, but in 2022, I introduced the Pop-Up Luxury Retreat happening in Orlando, Florida, November 3rd through November 6th. Something special happens to a group of women when they meet in person, dine together, and sleep on site without the distractions of the outer world, and in a place that is a physical representation and manifestation of where they are going. After the last 2 years, I am positive you want connection, community, a touch of adventure, and a time to rejuvenate. So I'm inviting a very small group of women entrepreneurs and leaders to join me in Orlando, Florida, in a 10,000 square foot mansion. In this luxury setting, we'll focus on your marketing, your support systems, and your mindset. Schedule a meet and greet call at joinsharvette.com to discuss this retreat. All right, I know that whet your appetite, and I look forward to having a conversation with you. If this feels like a great business investment or personal development investment for 2022, schedule a call with me so we can chat about that. All right, so let's bring it back in. And again, thank you for all those that are hanging out with us here live now. You might notice, some of you that are faithful followers of the Sharvette Mitchell Radio Show, that things look a little bit different. Today, we're using a little bit of a different platform, but I really, really like it. I'm supposed to be able to see comments on the side of the screen right there. So when if you see me popping that out, I was just checking to see if I could see. Oh, okay, I see it's working. I see it's working. Hey, Tracy, thank you for coming on in, and thank you for being here. All right, let's bring our guest back on in as we continue this conversation around why solopreneurs need to prioritize SOPs for their business. All right, welcome back. Okay, so the lazy millennial, because millennials some people have already got some other words in their mind for millennials. So talk to us about why you are embracing and wanting business owners to embrace laziness. And while she's talking, y'all comment so we can see y'all comments up on the screen here. Thank you for being my test tonight.
Okay, so as we know, one of the main things when I first started my business, everyone's just we got to be up at this certain time. If you're not up at 3 a.m., 2 a.m. working, you're not into this, you're not really serious about your business, all this stuff. So I kind of fell into that. When I first started my business, I'm okay. And then especially because I had a newborn too. So I was up anyway. So it's just I didn't have a good work-life balance because I work from home. I had a new baby at the time. And even as he kind of went to daycare and everything, I still was kind of stuck in that mindset. Okay, I need to hustle. I need to make sure I have this stuff. If I'm not busy, if I'm not working consistently, I felt like I wasn't doing enough in my business. And because of that, I was just maybe I'm not. So that also contributed to me kind of overworking and just getting clients, even though I knew I should just back a little bit. But the laziness came from when I really started thinking about it. I just happened to see someone talking about millennials and stuff again, as usual, because millennials are always the butt, they're lazy. And I was seeing people complain about jobs and everything, no one wants to work, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just okay. And that kind of stuck with me. And then when I finally did my change last year to the lazy millennial, it kind of just randomly came to me. It's you know what? Because I do standard operating procedures for businesses, and standard operating procedures are going to be your blueprint for whenever you want to have generational wealth, or shoot, you just want to take a vacation, you want to take a break, whatever it is, this is going to be the blueprint because everyone's going to be using this to run your business for you. So you don't have to. So I'm just because I'm already doing that. The lazy just fit. The lazy just fit. And then also too, yeah. Outside, doing the thing, because I'm operational manager. So I do automations and making sure things fit that way. So all of that kind of just goes hand in hand. I'm just you know what? Let's do journey of laziness. Let's call this the lazy millennial. Let's roll with this and see where it goes. And here we are.
And so I'm sure you work with more than just millennials. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Okay. Good. And I love how that it is empowering. So to think about procedures initially might feel daunting. Anyone else here listening live or watching live, you can put a 1 in the chat, put a 1 in the comments if you like. It's daunting. It's daunting to think, to comment to be able to document everything that I'm doing that's in my head step by step. So put a 1 in the chat if that's daunting, because I want to show you you're not alone. You're not by yourself, because it is. However, on the same, it's on the same leaf, and we turn the leaf over, it's also empowering. So if this conversation that we're having is about solopreneurs, at some point you're going to have either virtual assistants, you're going to have employees. And so you'll want to be thinking about how that is also, this is freeing, right? And that's where we're not saying y'all lazy. So anyone to offend, because that...
It's a lot of work.
It's all good. We hope you're not offended by the word lazy, but I get what you're saying there. What are the first couple of tools? So if someone's saying, okay, I got it, I'm listening. Thank you. I see your ones. I see your comments over here on the screen. Let me capture this. What is the difference between a SOP and a DMO or DMQ? If I'm reading it right.
No, you're right, DMO. So, okay. Please refresh my memory what DMO is.
Yes, can you all give us what we want to make sure that because acronyms may mean different things for different things. So if you could spell out DMO in the chat, we will come back and address that. So for those that are like, okay, I'm ready to start documenting procedures, and you mentioned video. Is there a tool or a recommendation of how they would be able to record themselves doing something on a screen?
So yes, so I personally like Loom just because it has like all the components in there, like it got the captions, got the transcript and all that fun stuff. But honestly, I've had some people just use their cell phones and then like we just clean it up a bit, but whatever works for you. But I recommend Loom or any of these streaming not streaming, excuse me, anything similar to like Loom, the things you kind of record on your TV. I mean, not TV, computer, that works.
Okay, great. And so in Loom, those you all can check that out. It will record what's on your computer screen. So if there's something like if I wanted to, which I do have things, support assistants that do things for the show, then I can record like this is what we are doing on the screen, and it'll record your screen. All right. So thank you. Daily method of operations is what the DMO was in reference to.
So with that, honestly, so pretty much because of how you run your business, everything pretty much ends up being part of your SOP. It's just a matter of how you kind of separate it and break it down. But like your daily method, like I have mine in a certain component of like the day-to-day actions and stuff I want to take. And I have everything broken down into categories. So I have my marketing, I have like my boundary setting, which is of course like the office hours, how often I'm actually going to work and all that good stuff. But they kind of go hand in hand. It goes inside of it. Like pretty much everything, like business plans, all that stuff go inside your SOPs. It's just a matter of what component you're putting it in, because not everyone's going to have access to everything, every portion of your standard operating procedure. So yeah, they kind of go at least for me, they go hand in hand. Because like I said, I break it up between like our personal stuff, like stuff for me, like my goals, boundaries, all that stuff go on one side. And then I have the team side, which is the popular side, where I'm actually doing the videos. And this is where my team and my people are going to actually have access to run my company.
Oh, right. Fabulous. So there you go. So as we are kind of wrapping it up, hey girl, hey, that is Cookie that's coming in from New York. As we were wrapping this up, certainly standard. I know you've opened the eyes to several viewers that either don't have SOPs or they have them, and this is a pat on the back. So if you have standard operating procedures and you are here, put a 5 in the chat. We want a high five. Virtual high five to you, put a 5 in the chat. So hopefully this is a pat on the back, like, yes, I'm going in the right direction. Even if you have some of them done. And like you said, really think about the things that you can delegate, things that you do repeatedly that you would be able to, to delegate off of your plate, would be where you would start with documenting your SOPs. And the thing is, here's the thing. What happens is when people realize that they need the SOPs is often after they've contracted their first virtual assistant or first assistant. That's usually when it's highlighted for most people. And you don't want to be in that place of trying to
Mhm.
scramble and get together. Well, what is it that I know I need support? I want support for my business, but I don't know what it is that I want them to do. So you want to be thinking about that. Absolutely. Other things that you would say as we kind of tie things together and wrap it up for our audience related to SOPs?
Yeah. So like one thing I like to drive in is like do not feel pressure. Like whenever I do these things, like do not feel pressure to have to go out and like let me go ahead and record like all this stuff that I'm doing right now. Like you don't have to do that. Take it step by step because it's going to be a gradual thing because our business grows. It's going to be one of those things that's going to grow with you. As long as you're kind of like making notes, like I tell people, like I keep everything in journals and notebooks because I like to write stuff. I'm just now getting into the habit of actually using transcripts and everything. But like I'm still team pen and paper, but like it's just a matter of putting that stuff inside like the software and stuff. Because like at the end of the day, we just want to make sure we at least have the basics. And like if you already have like boundary stuff set out, that's part of your SOPs. Like you already ahead of the game. Like you got it. Like don't feel bad, don't feel rushed, but gradually do so. Like if you catch yourself doing something, you're about to log into your computer or you're doing something like, let me go ahead and record this real quick. And then you can always polish it later. That's another thing too. You can polish it later. Like you do something now, set it aside. Like I use Loom because I separate myself in folders and like I'll kind of go back to it when I'm about to actually put it inside like the software. And I'm just like, okay,
Yeah.
let me look at this video real quick. But overall, do not feel rushed. If you record something cool, look back at it because it's gonna be one to say we're gonna have to update.
Uh-huh.
Not regularly, but yeah. But breathe. Y'all are good.
You have grace. You are giving us
Yes,
grace. There is grace being
yes,
given
there's
here.
grace when doing these. Don't feel like you have to do
One,
everything all at once because that's when you mess up. Because I try to do that, and let me tell y'all, it's a failure. Do not.
do not do that. All right. So the final question for you here that we love to ask all of our guests on the show is the goal of this show is to motivate, excite, and influence. And we want to know what continues to motivate you.
Oh, definitely the lazy life. So, like, even though I'm a lazy millennial, like, this is hard work. And, like, every step I take, every little SOP, every little like journey or step I take inside this business, I'm just like, okay, it's getting me closer to like what I'm actually going for. Like, I want to be able to travel. I want my kids to be able to travel with me. I want to be able to just stay in bed some days and not have to worry about like, oh, let me hurry up on this computer and send this to this person. Like, I want to be self-sufficient. I want to be able to enjoy life. Like even though I'm a business owner, like I own something, like I still want to be able to like just go out and be and not have to feel like I have to rush back. So like little things like that, and like the steps I'm taking now, I know is going to get me to that point. So yeah,
Yes.
that's what the laziness.
That's so well said. Well, we thank you so much for stopping by the Sharvette Mitchell Radio Show and just dropping some nuggets for our audience. And we just wish you much more continued success. And also thank you for being a very active member in the Coaching with Vet Facebook community. So thank you for being here.
You're welcome. Y'all see me in the Facebook group.
All right, all right. Wonderful. Okay, so that is going to wrap up today's show here on the Sharvette Mitchell Radio Show. Thank you so much. Again, if you were here live, or you're checking this out, the replay, any of our videos, if you're checking out the podcast version or the talk show version, we are just so excited that you just took a few minutes to listen in and think about how you can take your business to the next level. And because that ties into the goal of the show is to motivate, excite, and influence, and maybe motivate you to do so all of us. I'm not sticking a finger at you. All of us, even if we have standard operating procedures, there's more to do, and we can always like revisit the things that we've done because sometimes systems change. This is a prime example. I am on a certain platform, not to say the other platform is thrown out the window, but if I have a standard operating procedure of how the other system worked as far as running the stream, then if I'm using something new, guess what? That's a new procedure. So, all right, we're wrapping it up. Thank you for all of the love in the comments. Yes, it was great information. I totally agree. Thank you so much for being here. Hello, Ayana over on LinkedIn. Thank you for being here and popping up. And we are going to see you all later here on the Sharvette Mitchell Radio